Alright, hold on to your wallets, folks, because today we're talking about a penny that could be worth $3 million. Yeah, you heard that right. I bet you're looking at the pennies in your couch cushions right now, thinking, could one of those be my ticket to fortune? Well, let's find out as we dive into the wild world of the 1970 mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny? Really? But don't let that shiny copper fool you, this little guy might just be sitting on a hidden fortune. So, if you've got any old pennies lying around, keep your eyes peeled. Who knows, you could be the next coin millionaire. Let's get into it. First things first, let's talk about the 1970 penny. It's not just any penny, this is a special one with a mint mark that might make it one of the most valuable coins in existence. But before we get all the money bags on you, let's break down exactly what makes this penny so precious. Okay, so the 1970 penny was minted in Denver, which is where that D comes from. But here's the kicker, it was produced in huge quantities, about 2.4 billion pennies to be exact. So, why is one of these worth $3 million? Well, it's all about the rarity. You see, some of these pennies were accidentally made with a double die, meaning the image on the penny was struck twice, creating a misalignment. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I know if I've got one of these rare double dies? Well, that's where the fun begins. You'll need to look at the date and the inscription Liberty under magnification. If the lettering looks a little fuzzy, or if you can see two layers of the date. Bam! You've got yourself a double die error penny. And that, my friends, is where the magic happens. Now, don't go running to your piggy bank just yet. These rare error pennies aren't just hiding out in every change jar. Out of the 2.4 billion pennies, only a handful have this double die error. So, if you come across one, consider yourself lucky, and maybe even start thinking about a new career in coin selling. But, hey, it's not just about the error, it's about the condition too. That's right, condition matters more than you might think. If your 1970 penny has a clear double die error, but it's all beat up, scratched, or super worn out, it's not going to fetch millions. The best condition pennies are those that are nearly perfect. Think about it like finding a rare, vintage car, but if it's rusted out, no one's gonna pay full price for it. So, keep your pennies safe, store them well, and maybe even get them professionally graded if you think you've hit the jackpot. So, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I found a box of old coins at a garage sale. You know, the kind of box that's just sitting there, covered in dust like it hasn't seen daylight in decades. Well, I took a look, and what do I find? A few pennies from the 60s, 70s, and yeah, nothing too exciting. Or so I thought. I tossed them in a jar, forgot about them for a while, and months later, I was cleaning out my closet when I found that jar again. I started looking through the pennies, and there it was, a 1970 penny that looked a little off. I mean, it just looked different. I pulled out my magnifying glass, and sure enough, there was a faint double die error on the date. I was like, no way, this can't be real. I had no idea what I had at the time. Turns out, that little penny could have been worth a ton of cash, if only I'd known about it sooner. Lesson learned, folks, always check your change, because you never know when something amazing might turn up. So, to wrap it all up, if you're lucky enough to find a 1970 Lincoln penny with a double die error, you could be looking at a $3 million payday. But even if you don't find one of these hidden treasures, there are plenty of other rare coins out there that might be worth more than you think. So, keep looking, keep checking, and keep your change safe. You never know when you might stumble upon a gem. Alright, so here's the deal, if you want more tips on which coins could make you a millionaire, subscribe to this channel. You won't want to miss the next video where we dive into other valuable coins that might be sitting in your pocket right now. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Guess what? That little penny you just tossed into your junk drawer could be worth a small fortune. No, seriously, I'm not pulling your leg. If you've got a 1994 Lincoln penny with no mint mark on it, you could be holding on to a potential jackpot worth $2.9 million. Yes, you heard that right, $2.9 million. That's not just the price of a used car, it's a small mansion, my friend. But hold up, before you rush to your piggy bank, let's dig into how this penny came to be so valuable, and why you might have just stumbled onto your golden ticket. Alright, let's break it down. We're talking about the 1994 Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, most of us know that pennies are, well, not exactly the rock stars of the coin world, right? Most pennies are worth, well, a penny. But not all pennies are created equal, and that's where this 1994 no mint mark beauty comes into play. So, here's the thing. The US Mint usually stamps a mint mark on the coins to tell us where they were made, either Denver, D, Philadelphia, P, or San Francisco, S. But in 1994, there was a tiny production error. Some pennies came out of the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark at all. And, let me tell you, those little guys have become collector's gold. Why? Because they are incredibly rare. We're talking about less than 10 of these 1994 no mint mark pennies being known to exist today. Now, I can already hear you thinking, but, how do I know if I have one of these ultra-rare pennies? Well, here's a little test for you. Take a look at the penny, and check the date. If it's 1994 and it has no mint mark on the back, then boom, you could be holding on to a fortune. Now, let's get real. I know what you're thinking, yeah, right. How likely is it that I'll find one of these in my pocket change? Well, I thought the same thing too, until I had a little aha moment in my own life. A few years ago, I found myself going through a jar of loose change that had been sitting on a shelf for years. I thought, I'll just count it up, get a couple bucks for a coffee. As I'm flipping through the coins, I come across a 1994 penny. No mint mark. My heart raced. But then I remembered, I wasn't going to get too excited. It might be worth a bit more than a penny, sure, but not that much. Turns out, I was right to hold my excitement, but for all the wrong reasons. I didn't have a 1994 no mint mark penny. I had a regular one. But, I tell you, it was a wake-up call. Always check your pennies. Here's the thing, if you do have one of these 1994 no mint mark Lincoln pennies, the current market value could be in the millions. That's right. The record for one of these bad boys was recently set at nearly $2.9 million. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be driving a Lamborghini anytime soon, but let's just say if you do find one of these rare pennies, you might want to start thinking about how to safely store it. Maybe, a safe deposit box, and don't worry, it's not just about finding these coins. As a coin collector, the key is knowing what to look for and understanding the rarity of these finds. Whether it's looking for errors, rare minting years, or just having a good old-fashioned luck streak, your collection could be worth way more than you realize. That 1994 Lincoln penny in your coin jar could be worth a lot more than its face value. And even if it's not, you'll never know until you check. And who knows? Maybe the next coin you find could be your ticket to millions. So, if you loved this little deep dive into the world of valuable pennies, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips coming your way to help you turn your spare change into big bucks. We're talking everything from rare coins to market trends and all the tips you need to cash in on those hidden gems. Don't let your coins sit there collecting dust, start collecting wealth today. Because I'm about to tell you how a simple 1995 D mint mark Lincoln penny could be worth, hold on to your change jar. $2.7 million. Yes, you heard that right, million. So, if you're like me and thought all pennies were just good for tipping the cashier or filling up that jar you never use, think again. Stick around because this is the kind of penny you don't want to miss out on. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, how on earth is a penny worth $2.7 million? I've got pennies falling out of my pockets, and I'm not exactly a millionaire. Well, let me explain. The 1995 D Lincoln penny with a certain error on it is the one that has people's jaws dropping. You see, most pennies from this year are, well, pretty standard. You'll find plenty of them in your loose change. But the special ones have a little something that makes them stand out. Double die. What's that? Sounds like a villain from a comic book, right? But it's actually a printing mistake where the die used to strike the coin gets misaligned. So, instead of a clear, crisp image, you end up with a coin that looks, well, a little off. The doubling of the date, for example, is what catches the eye. This makes it look like the number 1995 is almost blurry, like it's got a shadow behind it. And because it's so rare, collectors absolutely lose it over these coins. I'll tell you, I didn't believe this at first either. About a year ago, I found an old coin in a box of stuff my grandma gave me. I thought it was a collector's item, one of those fake silver coins you get from novelty shops. Turns out, after a bit of research and some serious Googling, I realized I'd stumbled upon a 1995 D penny that looked like a double die error. It wasn't, but the excitement I felt for a split second. Priceless. So, lesson learned, always double check your pennies. Because you never know when you're holding on to a small fortune. Now, this isn't just some random penny lying around. The 1995 D double die Lincoln penny in mint condition has sold for as much as $2.7 million. That's no typo. And it's not just one lucky person who found it, these types of coins have real value on the market. So, if you're going through your change or coin collection, and you've got a 1995 D, you might want to examine it under a magnifying glass. Who knows? It could be your golden ticket to riches. Check your pennies, people. It's not just about keeping them around for a rainy day or tossing them into your car's cup holder. It could be your ticket to a serious payday. But hey, even if your 1995 D penny isn't a double die error, there are still plenty of rare coins out there worth more than you think. Trust me, I've made some of the same mistakes before, missed opportunities and all that. But now, I've learned the value of doing a little extra research before I toss anything into the math pile. If you're into finding coins that might make you rich, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and join me for more tips on how to spot the rare coins hiding in your collection. Who knows? Your next lucky find could be worth millions. Until next time, keep checking those pennies, because you never know which one will be your jackpot. Hold on to your pocket change, folks. What if I told you that the tiny, seemingly insignificant penny you've got in your drawer could be worth a whopping $2.5 million? Yeah, you heard that right. That's more than some people make in a lifetime. The 2003 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny is causing a stir, and I'm here to give you the inside scoop on how to spot this gem before it slips through your fingers like, well, a penny. If you're the kind of person who still thinks pennies are just junk to toss around or lose in the couch cushions, you might want to think again. Stick around, I'll show you why this coin could be your ticket to an early retirement, or at least a nice vacation. So, let's break it down. You've probably got a jar full of pennies somewhere, right? Maybe it's next to your couch, or buried under that stack of change from your last trip to the gas station. But here's the kicker, there's one very special penny from 2003 that could be worth a mind-blowing $2.5 million. No, that's not a typo. 2.5 million. It's not a typo, and it's not a prank. Let's talk about why. In 2003, the US Mint produced millions of pennies, and usually, they have a mint mark to show which mint facility they were made at, like the D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But a handful of them slipped through the cracks without any mint mark at all. Yep, no D, no S, just an ordinary penny with no telling where it came from. And when a coin like that shows up, collectors go crazy. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, but instead of a needle, it's a tiny, copper goldmine. Think about it like this, You know when you find that one sock that disappeared in the laundry? It's not just a sock, it's the sock. That's what this penny is to coin collectors. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, I got a bunch of pennies from 2003 in a jar, but they've all got mint marks, don't go throwing them out just yet. There's more to this story than just a missing mint mark. See, not all 2003 pennies without a mint mark are worth $2.5 million. That would be too easy, right? These pennies are incredibly rare. In fact, there's only one known to have made it into circulation. 1. And the lucky person who found it back in 2018 had it appraised for an eye-popping $2.5 million. To put that in perspective, you could buy a pretty swanky car, a vacation home, or, well, pretty much anything you want. Now, I know what you're thinking, I'm not a coin expert. How can I tell if I've got one of these? And that's totally fair. But don't worry. I've got you covered. First, you're gonna want to grab that penny, take a good look at the year, 2003, obviously, and then flip it over and check the reverse. Look for the mint mark on the bottom of the coin. If you don't see anything there, you might have a winner. But don't jump for joy just yet. You'll need to confirm it with a professional appraiser or a coin dealer. Trust me, you want to make sure it's the real deal. Remember, I once found a penny in my backyard, thought it was worth a fortune, and turned out it was just a rusty old piece of junk. I'm not proud of it, but hey, we all learn the hard way. So, the moral of the story here is clear, don't throw away your pennies, especially if they're from 2003. And if you've got a jar of them sitting around, it's time to give them a closer look. Maybe you're holding on to the next big thing that could make you a small fortune. I mean, come on, who doesn't want to be the person who discovers a $2.5 million coin just sitting in their change jar? If I can do it, so can you. And hey, while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more tips on coins that could make you rich. You never know what treasure you've got tucked away. Stop what you're doing because I've got a question for you. What if I told you that your everyday pocket change, yes, the pennies that we often ignore, could be worth over $1 million? Sounds crazy, right? Well, buckle up because today, we're talking about a little coin with a big value, the 2020 D. Lincoln 1-cent penny. So, you might be thinking, yeah, right, pennies are just pennies. What's so special about a 2020 penny? Well, let me tell you, this isn't your average piece of copper. It's part of a small batch that has made some serious waves in the coin world. The 2020 D. Lincoln penny, minted in Denver, was produced in a fairly large number, around 1 billion of these little guys were made. But guess what? Only a handful have been seriously eye-catching. And I'm not just talking about how shiny they look under the light. What makes this penny so special? Well, first of all, the 2020 D. Lincoln penny has been making headlines because a few of them have been found in pristine condition. I'm talking about coins with no signs of wear, a perfect sheen, and all those crisp details you can't even imagine. These coins are in such great shape that they've been selling for up to $1 million on the market. Yeah, you heard me right. A penny worth $1 million. Now, hold on, don't rush to grab all the pennies in your jar and start flipping them. The key here is the condition. In coin collecting, we call this mint state, and it's a big deal. The closer to perfect, the higher the value. If your 2020 D penny has scratches, dings, or discoloration, sorry to say, it's just a regular penny. But if it's minted to perfection, you're holding on to a tiny goldmine. You know, this whole thing reminds me of a time when I found a coin in a roll of pennies my grandmother gave me. I thought it was just a regular penny, but something told me to check it out. I took it to my local coin shop, and guess what? It turned out to be a rare 1943 steel penny. I almost fell over. Long story short, I ended up getting it appraised for way more than I'd ever thought a penny could be worth. Ever since then, I've been hooked, looking through change like a treasure hunter. Of course, I haven't found $1 million penny yet, but hey, one day, right? Alright, before you start scouring your couch cushions for that 2020 D Lincoln penny, here's the deal: check your pennies carefully, keep an eye out for those that are in mint condition, and maybe, just maybe, you'll stumble upon a rare one worth a small fortune. But remember, coin collecting is as much about passion and discovery as it is about the potential to find a hidden treasure. If you're like me and you love finding rare coins that could change your life, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of tips, strategies, and insider info coming your way. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. Who knows, the next penny you find could be worth more than just a cent, it could be worth $1 million. Until next time, keep hunting, keep collecting, and keep checking your change. You never know what hidden treasures are waiting for you. See you in the next video, folks.